I'm pretty certain that I just spent my whole day recording, picking up this trailer, fixing up to be a really good video. I can't find any of the files. I guess I'll start by saying howdy doody, because the original clip of me saying good morning this morning is virtually gone. I have heard the horror stories of lost footage before. Never thought it would happen to me. But here we are. I recorded the whole video today on GoPro because it made the most sense, because I was going to spend the day on the road. I mean, truly all but 3 or 4 video files were recorded on this GoPro on one SD card. I have one clip, and it's the very last clip that I took of the trailer at the end of the video, just to have as like B-roll. My footage and my cat? No, he's just moving. That's perfect. Anyway, I apologize for the terrible lighting. This is very candid because this is all happening right now. I wasn't planning on recording this video. I was planning on editing at this point. Very disappointed and quite frankly kind of sad, because I put in a lot of effort to that video. I guess at this point, you know, it is what it is. I made it back home safe with the trailer. All went well. The truck ran great. The trailer towed home fine. It's a great find. Super happy with it. Anyway, yeah, at this point, I'll get back outside and at least show you guys the trailer and talk you through the day. Like I said, I do have some clips from my phone that I took, but the far majority of the video today was recorded on the GoPro, and I'll keep trying to find the files, but if you're watching this right now, then that'll tell you that I never found them. So
let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin. This is serious. I know. This really is the world's smallest violin.
Well, isn't that a sight for sore eyes? You'll notice it's the next day. You'll also notice I'm wearing the same shirt, and you're not allowed to judge me. But I added my logo. Just doing things to cheer myself up because I'm still bummed. Yesterday I just decided to hunker down and edit, and I figured I would save this walkthrough for today. Hopefully with my spirits lifted a little bit higher, which they are, but I still am just bummed. The plan for today, I'm just going to start from the beginning of the morning and take you through a little story time. I'm just going to apologize ahead of time because it's not going to be as interesting as watching the day unfold as you typically would, you know. So, what do we have here? This trailer is a 2013 Kaufman 55,000 pound drop deck equipment trailer. The approximate measurements are 8 foot wide, a little over 8 foot wide, by 39 foot total. The top deck here is about 12 feet. The flat deck is 22 feet, and the dovetail is about 5. And then you obviously have your ramps. It is a tandem axle, and again, it's rated for 55,000 pounds. So this is what you're going to use for hauling your mid-size to heavy-size equipment. The only trouble you really get into is with height restrictions. So you got to be hauling things that sit pretty low. If you get stuff that's really tall, that's when you get into your lowboy type trailers. But I picked this trailer up at auction. I spent a little over $5,000 after all the taxes and fees. All said and done, I was $6,000 flat. So for $6,000, I have what I could easily just as is turn around and sell for $15,000 approximately. If I really did her up all nice, you know, I could probably turn about $20,000 off of this trailer, somewhere in that neighborhood. It's a really nice trailer. Very, very pleased with the price I paid for it. That was also the top of my budget for what I had in mind for a trailer for this truck. But let's start by a little story time. I wanted to get on the road nice and early, so starting the truck up, it was about 5:30 in the morning. Went and got fuel, turned right back around and headed west. We drove all the way to the border of Indiana and Ohio, actually right near where my mom grew up in Van Wert, but just over the border into Indiana. I can't remember what the miles worked out to, but it was about, by car, a 3-hour trip. For me in this, taking stops, checking on the truck, making sure everything went okay, it took me about 3 hours and 45 minutes, somewhere around there. All in all, there and back, just to get this out of the way, the truck performed flawlessly. I didn't have any issues. I brought a bunch of tools with me. I was ready for a breakdown, but there was no frills there. So when I picked this truck up in Michigan, a couple of you were noting the oil pressure, concerns with the oil pressure, right around 65 mile an hour and 1700 RPM, somewhere around there. So my highest gear, just strolling down the highway, I was sitting comfortable around 22 PSI, and a couple of you were concerned about that. I mentioned while changing the oil that we'd see how she would do, and you were correct. My idle pressure as of right now sits right around 20 or 22 at startup. After it's all warm, drops down a little bit. But all day, 65 mile an hour, 68 is pretty much as I would push it. As soon as I saw that needle around 70, I would kind of back off a little bit. I just don't want to push it too hard. Yeah, right around 65 mile an hour, 1700 RPM. This thing was comfortable and steady at 35 to 37 PSI. So definitely 2 thumbs up there on oil pressure. She definitely liked the service. The first thing that I'm really bummed about is the road trip down and how beautiful the day was turning out. I was really getting some good sunrise footage, and I don't know, I was, you know, dreaming up the time lapse in my mind, and I was getting pretty excited about it. And unfortunately, that is all gone.
The sky is doing wild things today, and I'm still it's the same night. This is tonight from, you know, same day I brought the trailer back. And I figured I'd at least capture some of a sunset, because the sunrise was just so good. And I got such good footage of it too. It's such a bummer. I mean, I wish you guys could have seen it. Look at this. The sunrise was just like this. I mean, it was such a perfect day for a drive. It's just one of those things that I think about, and I'm like, you know, a big part of the reason why I'm, you know, making these videos and I have this channel, a big part of that is so I can personally look back years from now at the memories, and not only just have memories, but have video to it, you know, and summarized videos, and, you know, I hope to be quality video, you know, well put together. So it's just a bummer thinking about, you know, I could have had such good video from today that I could have looked back on, you know, just at a bare minimum. but also something to share with you guys. So it's just a bummer, but yeah, it just sucks.
Beautiful, beautiful drive on the way down. Crisp air. It's nice and brisk in the morning. It was about 55 degrees. And yeah, beautiful sunrise. Beautiful day for a drive. Absolutely spectacular. Really enjoyed my time. I just wish that I could share it. But the storyline really started to turn and actually take shape once we got there, because I planned ahead and emailed the auction house ahead of time and said, hey, I'm planning on coming down Saturday. I understand you guys aren't open. Is it possible that I can pick up the trailer on a Saturday, just because I work full time and it's going to make everything easier if I can do it on a weekend? Sure, no problem. I need you to email us so we have it in writing that you're okay with us putting it outside of the locked gates for you, and that we know ahead of time, because it is a titled vehicle, which I do have the title. They shipped it to me. Vehicle, trailer, details, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yep, I'll shoot you a quick email. Did that just to be sure. I'm driving, over 3 hours. Is this trailer roadworthy? Do the brakes work? Are there any known issues that I'm walking into, just so I can prepare myself for it? Obviously, I'm picking it up either way. I bought it. But is there anything that the guys in the auction house can tell me about the trailer before I come down, so there aren't any surprises? Nope, no frills, should be all good to go. Just send us that email. Okay. So I show up, I pull in. I know exactly what the trailer is, because you'll see in the picture of the auction picture, there's kind of like a stake pocket wood piece that sticks straight up. So I knew exactly what I was looking for. But pulling up, the first thing I noticed about this trailer was it was tucked away, and I don't have any pictures of this, so you're just gonna have to trust me, tucked away in a corner behind dry van trailers, and then there was another like gooseneck trailer on an angle that was pinning this thing into a corner. And I'm like, I emailed ahead of time and asked these people to put it in a place that I could get to. I explicitly said that. Just put it in a place where I can get to it, and all the other notes, make sure that it's roadworthy and all that stuff. And they didn't move it. It had obviously sat there for an extended period of time. The landing gear feet were, a good 4 or 5 inches sunk into the asphalt milling lot that it was sitting in. But, I figured I would swing in and see if I could get it out on my own. Obviously, nobody's working. It's a Saturday. So I had a perfect shot. It was a total ego boost for me. I had a perfect GoPro shot of the GoPro sitting on top of the trailer, on top of, the deck here. And first try, me backing Frank up, swinging her in, just straight and center with the 5th wheel pin. It was beautiful. I mean, I couldn't have done it better myself, even though I did. I couldn't do it a second time, is what I'm saying. Like I said, cool, calm, collected, big ego boost that I had that on camera. I was excited to see how that one looked, you know what I mean? But backing up to it, I basically caught, the trailer wasn't sitting high enough because it had sunk down in the ground. Basically, your pin's right here and it latches in. Right here is where the front of the trailer, this plate here, was catching because it was sitting too low. And I went around, this is one of the first things that I noticed. Hello, Mr. Spider. Let's move you. One of the first things that I noticed walking up to this thing, this landing gear is missing its foot. It's actually sitting in this tire right here. Someone did a crappy weld. The foot was sitting underneath it, it had its weight on it, but there was a crappy weld and it obviously had broke. Tried grabbing my crank here and started cranking, and it got really tight really quick. There's grease in there, but in the pin there was some water, so I think just over time, lack of use, I think I got water sitting in that crank there. But anyway, it got really tight really quick. It really wasn't wanting to crank up. and it was sinking into the lot it was sitting in. There was a truck driving by, a pickup truck, and I flagged the guy down. I just didn't, you know, I probably could have kept trying. You know, I really only started trying to crank it up, but I figured, hey, this is probably the only truck that I'm going to see today driving by. You know, even if it's someone that doesn't work here, maybe they can give me a hand in some way. Flag the guy down. Do you work here? And of course, this is all on camera. I got my GoPro sitting there, so this whole thing is on camera. I'm like, hey, do you work here? And he goes, yeah, I work here. I'm like, I see you're driving through. Are you on your way out? And he goes, yeah, I was, but what do you need? And I'm like, I'm here for that trailer. I emailed ahead of time saying I was coming, and I can't get the landing gear to wind up. And it's sitting too low. Do you have anything that I can, you know, I have my equipment keys with me. Do you have anything that I can bring over and pick it up a little bit? You know, there's a Volvo excavator sitting right there. Even that, I can chain around it and pick it. And he goes, oh, we got forklifts. I just gotta, he goes, jump in my truck. I'll pull you around and I'll throw you in a forklift and you could pick it that way. Great. Pulls me around to the gated area, and I was chatting with him. His name was Josh. I'm like, you know, what do you do here? He's like, oh, I'm one of the owners. I'm like, really? I'm like, well, he goes, did you say that you were coming to grab the trailer? I was like, yeah, I emailed ahead of time asking that it was set outside and that I was in a place I could get to it. And he goes, oh, that trailer's been sitting there forever. So needless to say, he wasn't too happy hearing that I asked ahead of time and nobody touched the thing. Anyway, he was gracious enough to throw me into a forklift, and I pulled that thing around. I do have a little clip of that. That guy just saved me. Luckily, you know, usually you don't find workers here on a Saturday, but I even asked. I asked before I came. I said, hey, make sure they have it out in a place that I can grab it, you know, not in a stowed away like gate or anything like that. I confirmed. I'm like, I haven't seen this thing. Make sure that it's drivable. I'm driving, you know, 3 hours. Sure enough, stowed away in a place that, granted, I could get it out, but it was a tight squeeze, and the landing gear was broken, so I couldn't get it up. I mean, granted, I only tried for a quick second, and it was really tight, and I saw that guy driving by, so I stopped him real quick. I just didn't want to take my chances, and luckily he drove me over to a place with a forklift, and here we are. So I'm gonna get this tucked away. He was on his way out, so I want to be respectful of his time and make sure he gets on the road here, and I'll catch up with you here in a second. I did note in the video that I was recording that I was surprised to see virtually all of the trailers that were listed in the auction that I was in were still there. But it was also something that was noteworthy for the video, because I went through why I was going for this trailer out of the other ones. While looking at these other trailers, I walked up to the lowboy that was up at auction and explained the reason why I went for this specific trailer over the lowboy. And I'm going to outline those now. First and foremost, lowboys are always going for more money. They're worth more than a drop deck equipment ramp style trailer. Secondly, for me, I'm an inexperienced driver. You know, this is the first truck I've ever owned, first trailer that I've ever owned. So I don't have virtually any experience driving a lowboy, and that would be a heck of an undertaking for a new driver, at least in my opinion.
That's my opinion!
To just jump right into driving a lowboy. They sit a couple inches off the ground, which is a huge hazard. You know, it's something that you have to bear in mind with, you know, your routes that you're taking. They're also a lot more complex. With a lowboy, the whole front actually detaches in order to flip the ramps down, and you actually bring the equipment up from the front side of the trailer rather than the rear. That's another big part of why I prefer a trailer this style for me right now, because with a lowboy, you're tied to whatever that width is, whatever that center section is that drops down into your deck height, your lowboy deck height. You have to have equipment or what have you that's wide enough to make it up the ramps and clear that center section. There are obviously different styles of lowboys that accommodate different things, but the far majority have that, you know, lifted center section with the drop deck. Really the only thing that you can use that trailer for then is equipment that suits that layout. With this drop deck, it's universal. You could put anything on this trailer. Cars, smaller pieces of equipment, big pieces of equipment, anything up to 55,000 pounds, well, minus the weight of the trailer, which I'm not sure what the dry weight of this trailer is. I would imagine it's probably in the neighborhood of 8,000 pounds or so. Now, I can universally use this trailer for so many things, and that is why, the main reason why I was looking for one of these. I'm not saying never as far as me owning a lowboy. I hope to be in a position one day where I can also have a lowboy, but I highly doubt that this trailer is ever going to see the day where it leaves my property as far as my possession. I think this is a long-term trailer for me. And with that being said, let's do a little walk around and I'll show you guys what kind of shape this thing is in. Because it's not perfect by any means. However, structurally it is sound. It needs a few tweaks to it to make it nice, but I have plans for that. The deck isn't in horrible shape, but you know, it's usable, but it's definitely something that needs work. You know, there are your fair share of boards that are rotted out where they're attached, but you know, there are plenty of sections that are just fine. The ramps are good, but this grading material needs to go, you know, just to dress it up a little bit. All the tires are in good shape. They all look pretty new. They're not dry rotted. They got a lot of tread life left. And you could start to see my suspension down here all looks pretty good. Again, surface rust, but not bad. This is the only imperfection I could find in the tires. Not sure what happened to this one. It looks deformed. You know, I don't know what happened there, but this tire at a minimum, actually both of them look like they need to be replaced, but all 6 other tires look to be in great shape. Everything underneath is in great shape. All of my suspension parts are all good. Again, you get some flakiness. This is probably the worst of it right here. But all my leaf springs are in good shape. All my brakes are in good shape. All my pads have a lot of life left in them. So that was great news. That's always something that you're rolling the dice on because they don't really disclose that in the auction descriptions. But I lucked out there. All of my DOT tape is well worn and peeling off, as well as this is actually the worst of the worst as far as the scale. I'm starting to get some scaling here, but underneath, you know, it's still solid steel. I mean, that's just a surface level defect at this point. Perfectly serviceable in my mind. You can take this trailer in and have it sandblasted, or for me, I'll probably rob a sandblaster off of friends, do it on a weekend, sandblast the whole thing, and repaint it, which is definitely what I plan on doing. I would like to make a project out of this thing, a workable project where I'm still using it, but definitely want to have it sandblasted and painted. And I think the plan is in the future to also paint Frank the Peterbilt and color match the two of them. I have a plan for colors. If you know me well enough from watching the channel, you know that I'm into the vintage side of things. So being that this truck is from the 80s, I'm definitely going to go with an 80s style, muted colors with big striped decals. Color scheme, most likely in the brown neighborhood, okay? So what I'd like to do is color match the truck and trailer. I really like how Kaufman put their logo down here. and I think that would be a heck of a spot for a Nock Ranch decal. So excited about my future plans with this thing. I think once I put a weekend's worth of work into this trailer and then paint it, it'll be a pretty sharp looking trailer, and it should last me years and years and years to come. The reason why I was dead on the hunt for a trailer like this is I have a project that I believe at this point you know about. I believe. So with that, again, I am so sorry. I apologize for the poor example of a video for the day. It's mostly talking and it's going to be pretty short. You know, all the fun was sucked out of this one. But the important part with this video is to let you guys know, hey, I got this trailer. We're going to be putting this thing to work. We got tons of things that we're going to be picking up with it, and I'm going to enjoy every minute I can getting behind the wheel of that Peterbilt. It's just such a joy to drive in. So I hope you guys can understand that it's probably not the best video, but I did my best to put it together for you just to give you something, just to give you some information on what I got here. I'm excited about the purchase. I think it's a good purchase. What are your thoughts? Should I have gone with a lowboy and just said screw it? Or do you think I made the right decision doing a drop deck equipment trailer? But with that, please do me a favor, like the video, share it, subscribe to the channel, all of that fun stuff. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, the Tiki Talkies. And with that, I'll leave you there. I'll see y'all in the next one. But always remember, don't be afraid to grab that wrench, get after yourself. We'll see you next time.